Now, I've had a savings account with Chase pretty much my entire life, and little did I know that I was earning only a few dollars a year at most in that account. So if you have your money currently sitting in a traditional savings account like Chase, Bank of America, or Wells Fargo, then your money is earning nothing and actually losing value every day to inflation. In fact, if you had $10,000 in savings with a traditional bank account like Chase, after a full year, you would have made $1. But what the banks don't want you to realize is that they're paying such low interest rates so that they can then use your money to go make them much more money. But say no more, because if you change to a high yield savings account, for this example SoFi, your $10,000 after a full year would make you $460 instead by just a few clicks of a button. With that said, let's just get straight to it and first go over what even are high yield savings accounts. Now, a high yield savings account may seem confusing, but it's really just like a normal savings account, but you can earn more money from using this account. If you're curious on how this is actually possible, it's because many of these banks that offer high yield savings accounts with these competitive rates, it's because they are typically online companies with lower overhead costs, meaning they don't really have many physical branch locations that they have to pay for utilities, maintenance, equipment, and many more costs that a company with physical locations would have. But don't worry, they're all still safe because of the high yield savings accounts I'm going to mention in this video, and for the most part, they're going to be FDIC insured, which means that your money can grow pretty much risk-free because even if the bank fails, you're protected up to a certain amount by the government, which, like I said, all credible savings accounts should have this. With that said, let's now go over exactly how high yield savings accounts work. Now, it's important to understand that high yield savings accounts are not meant for building long-term wealth like investing into the S&P 500, but are more so meant for placing your cash in a position to help you achieve short-term financial goals, which can still earn you some interest in the meantime. For example, a great use of a high yield savings account would be for an emergency fund, which should consist of at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses in case of an emergency. And say your emergency fund is $10,000 or more, the difference in value over years of doing this compared to a traditional savings account could literally be thousands of dollars. Or say that you're saving to buy a house in the near future and want your cash liquid, this would allow you to still earn interest on your money while still having quick access to it. Now, as far as the interest you will earn with high yield savings accounts, the rates do fluctuate based on the current market conditions, so what you are seeing right now, the interest rates will change in the future. For example, with an account like SoFi, you can currently earn a 4.6% interest, but in the next couple of years, say the Fed cuts interest rates, then the rates you would earn through high yield savings accounts would drop as well. All in all, the rates you earn in these accounts will depend on market conditions, but you are at least guaranteed to make more with these accounts than you would with a traditional one like Chase or Wells Fargo. Now, what exactly a 4.6% APY means is that if you had $10,000 in the account, if the rate stayed the same for the entire year, that means you would have gained $460. And how most high yield savings accounts operate is that the interest that you're going to get paid is going to be monthly into your account, so that means each month on average you'd be getting roughly $38. Another note to add on top of this is that the interest you're going to be getting is compounded daily based on the balance you have on the account each day, but you will not visually see this because, like I said, you're going to get paid monthly and not every day. Where on the other hand, with a traditional account like Chase or Bank of America, at a 0.01% rate, you would get $1 after a full year, which is just under 10 cents per month. Nice. And don't forget, to make matters even worse, the big banks require you to have a minimum amount in the account to avoid a fee. For example, with Chase, they require a balance of $300 in the account each day, or you have to pay a $5 monthly service fee. And like I said, that's because the banks want to use your money to make them much more money. But for high yield savings accounts, many of them don't charge fees like this. Some of them do have requirements that I'll discuss later in the video, but with that said, here are the best accounts you may want to consider. Now, there's so many options for you to choose from, so I've narrowed it down to 3 different categories that you may be potentially interested in, with the first one being the highest potential rate that you could earn. If you're one that doesn't really care for in-app features or to use this as a primary bank account, you simply just want to store cash here and get the highest rate possible, then I would suggest looking into My Banking Direct, who currently offers a 5.35% APY. What this means is that if you had $10,000 in this account, you held it for a full year where the 5.35% interest rate stayed the same throughout the entire year, you would have gained $535. Now, in time, the rates will change, and this might not be the best option for you in a year or two, but if you are interested to see other options and stay up to date, I've created an entire savings account master sheet where you can learn everything about high yield savings accounts in more detail. But with My Banking Direct, you can see how simple it would be to just enroll and get started, where you can have various features for paying bills, transfer funds between accounts, use Zelle, access digital documents. Although I have not personally used this app, I do know others who have, have, and they have said that it's very simple to use. But with this account, just be aware that they do have a minimum deposit requirement amount of $500, but thereafter, any balance over $1 will earn the 5.3% yield. Moving on from there, the second category is if you are already connected with a known bank that offers a high yield savings account. Although they may not include certain savings features, they do still offer solid rates, where ones would consist of American Express, Capital One, Discover. They all offer 4.25% yields, or PNC at a current 4.65%. All those are known banks, and you may already have an account with them, so it could just be most convenient for you to start and stick with one of them. Which, if I didn't mention the bank account that you have, I'd also recommend looking up yours and seeing if there is a high yield savings account option. I know for sure that Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and if you check out the master sheet I created, you'll get a much better idea of what exactly there is out there. Moving on from there, the last one I'm going to mention, number 3, is just an overall solid option because of the features you'd get and the convenience, and that would be through SoFi. With SoFi, you can currently get a 4.6% yield where the account comes with no annual fees and is FDIC insured, where they actually have a program where you can get up to $2 million worth of FDIC coverage. And something else I really like about SoFi is their vaults feature, which means you can separate the savings you have in the account to different areas, such as $1,000 for a future vacation, $10,000 in an emergency fund, $25,000 for a future down payment on a house, where you can even customize your own for whatever you want. So by using that feature, you would be able to categorize all your different savings all within one account, which, by the way, you will still earn the exact interest at the 4.6% rate on the amount, but the interest will be paid toward each vault. Another unique thing about SoFi is that they are the only high yield savings account currently offering a cash sign-up bonus, which is currently up to $325, where the first $25 you get from simply starting the account, and depending on how much you direct deposit, you can get up to an additional $300 cash bonus. So if it's between $1,000 to $5,000 within a 30-day period, you can get an extra $50 in cash, and if it's over $5,000, you get a bonus of $300. Now you're probably wondering, what is a direct deposit? And for them, it pretty much means that you're setting up a recurring deposit from a specific payroll provider, so your paycheck deposits directly into their platform. If you don't want to use your main employer, if you have any sort of side hustle like DoorDash or Uber, you can also do that, or if you have no employer at all, you would have to transfer $5,000 a month to keep the 4.6% yield active. The company does this so you can treat them as your primary bank account with handling your money, which at least you're going to earn more interest than you would with a traditional account like Chase or Bank of America. For some, this may definitely be inconvenient, but for others with a consistent income or side hustle, setting it up could actually be worth the change. But another thing I like about SoFi is that you can also invest on their platform, where handling your finances between both is super easy. So that covers SoFi. If you are interested to get started with that, I'll have a link in the description below, which if you use that link, it also helps me out and is greatly appreciated. With that said, now that you have an idea of where to start, let's now go over the things that you need to be aware of with high yield savings accounts. The first thing is that high yield savings accounts contain variable interest rates, which means that they change and fluctuate over time. For example, you may see the 5.35% yield on My Banking Direct, but in time that could decline significantly. Because of that, if you are one eager to get the highest potential rates, I'd highly recommend periodically checking the rates you're earning now with other ones in the market. But if you stick with one that is credible, over time you're going to get competitive rates, and it shouldn't be that much of a difference. Besides that, just also be aware that high yield savings accounts are not meant for building long-term wealth, but are more so a great tool to have for short-term financial goals. Although the rates right now are very good for savings accounts, they don't last forever, and if you were to get something like the S&P 500 that has historically over time proven to build wealth, you can do much better with that than having a savings account, even though you're earning a bit higher of interest than a normal one. On top of that, understand that some high yield savings accounts require a minimum balance to earn their high advertised rate, such as CIT banks, where on their page you can see they require a minimum $100 deposit, but be aware, because to get that 5% yield, you need $5,000 or more in the account, or else you earn 0.25%. Or another interesting one to be aware of is Vero Money, where you can earn a 5% yield, but only up to $5,000 that's in the account, and after that it's 3%. That's exactly why reading through everything before you get started with something is extremely important to know. And the last thing to understand is that the interest you're going to earn is going to be compounded daily based off the balance that you have in the account each day. So if you have $10,000 in the account, but only for 3 days, you will not reap the benefit of it sitting in the account for a full month. So with that example, instead of getting roughly $40 in the month, you'd only be getting $4 because you've only had $10,000 in the account for 3 days. Now, I've recently made an entire video about 5 things that you must know about high yield savings accounts that I think you'll greatly benefit from, so I'll leave that linked in the description below. And as I mentioned, if you decide to sign up with SoFi, consider using my link in the description of this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notifications button for future content like this.